Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for pro wrestling insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. Tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite will be the go-home show before Double or Nothing, with AEW having one final chance to build to their big pay-per-view. And joining me to talk about all of this, firstly, the co-host of the show, Clark Taylor. How are you today, Clark?
I'm doing well. Stoked to be back again on a Wednesday and talking about a go home show. And this should be one, but doesn't quite feel like one. For me, a go home show is where you tie up the rest of the loose ends. We need to feel really excited about the card top to bottom. And it's where you take us to the level where it's okay, I'm planning my whole day around the show.
Yeah.
And we're in a position here where I don't know if we're going home quite based on the card that we're looking at. It's not outside of maybe a contract signing. There's not a whole lot that tells you what's going to happen Sunday. Yeah, we'll hear from the four pillars. I don't know, man, though. I'm nervous about this. I hope there's some surprises, but it's not looking good out of the gates.
No, it really isn't. And we'll get into that in just a second. But also joining us today to discuss all of this, David. How are you, David?
I am not too bad, thank you very much. It's going to be an interesting episode of Dynamite to discuss. I don't think necessarily the most interesting episode of Dynamite. Clark talked about it not exactly feeling like we're going home. I feel like many people will be staying home and not making the trip to Double or Nothing based upon the quality of this card, or indeed the strength of the Double or Nothing card. But I think it's a show that has some promise. I think that it's a show that can build things, as we'll discuss. But for a go-home show, for an AEW pay-per-view with the roster of this caliber, it's not looking great.
That might just be the line of the century.
It was great.
I don't think most people would go in. They're gonna be staying home. Oh, that's brilliant. But also joining us today, Dryzzy. How are you, Dryzzy?
I'm good. Historically, AEW go home shows aren't really that good. They're just kind of they never feel like go home shows, but they always seem to deliver at the pay per views, no matter how non consequential they are. There's still always going to be some good wrestling, but I'm not expecting any type of major story beats. Maybe for a contract signing, maybe. Not sure what it is, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a difficult one, and like you said, AEW haven't really done a great job historically with go home shows. But let's kick things off with what is likely to be the main event of Double or Nothing. Well, it's for the title at the very least, and that is the Four Pillars match with MJF defending his AEW championship against Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara. And my question here is, what is the point of a go-home show? And Clark touched upon this just a second ago. And I mean, it all comes down to basically a point of a go-home show is to sell pay-per-views. That's what it all comes down to. When you condense it all, that is what it comes down to. It's trying to sell pay-per-views. And look, if you look at social media, not enough people care about this match. They don't. People are being very critical about it online, which is crazy. As at the start, when this match was announced, everyone was really, really excited, for this. The Four Pillars match, it's great. Now, people had doubts or whatever about whether or not they could sell the pay-per-view, but people were excited for it. But they've spent weeks and weeks building this up. They have. But despite all the time that they have spent doing it, nobody other than MJF looks believable to actually win the match, which is awful. Your main event, you have 4 people in the main event, and nobody other than MJF seems believable to win it. It's not even like they're suspending your disbelief. Like, for example, WWE have done with Roman Reigns at points during this reign, when all common sense tells you, of course, Reigns is going to win, but they suspend your disbelief. AEW have not done that here. They absolutely killed Jungle Boy last week. It really frustrated me with that match with Roosh. It was brutal. I think they were trying to make him look like the underdog, and like he'll find a way to win or whatever. Roosh, somebody who's barely been on television, and when he has, he's often lost in some times. Basically, was just squashing him the entire match, and then Jungle Boy got lucky. Like, what? That's the build going into the biggest match of Jungle Boy's career. It's just, I did not like that last week. I didn't at all. And actually, AEW need to take advice from what WWE did this week, building Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar on Raw, where they told that story throughout the 3 hours of Raw, and they really hyped that match up. Because I said it before, I wasn't excited about the rematch between Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar before this week's Raw. They did a phenomenal job. And now this show tonight, of course, is only a 2-hour show, right? And it's harder to build a story throughout a show in a 2-hour show, but you can still do it. Yes, I know AEW don't like to do that. They like to go segment to segment to segment, to promo package, to segment to segment to segment, really fast paced, really quick, fight through as much as they can, make it stacked or whatever. They don't give time for stuff to breathe. And tonight they need to abandon that philosophy, at least for tonight, and they need to focus on building this match. They need to figure out how they can make us care about it. And they said we're going to hear from all 4 pillars tonight on the show, but I have a bad feeling it's just going to be a quick promo package, which again, AEW don't give the proper time to, because they just rush from a promo package into a match. People forget about it quickly. And at time, WWE spent too much time between segments, but still, I think there's a happy medium between the both, where it just gives the promo package, enough time for, fans to absorb it and to, then think about it after it's happened before the next segment, but also, not have a huge gap and people talking about it for ages. What I will do is I'd have each 4, similar to what they actually did on NXT last night when they opened the show with all 4 women explaining why they'll win the tournament, the NXT Women's title tournament. I think they should open the show with the 4 pillars, like having pre-recorded promos about why they think they'll win it. And then later on in the night, they are all in the ring together and they have a promo. And then, they do what they did, like they did a few weeks back. But you need to tell MJF tonight on might calm down a bit, because the others need to look a bit better going into this event than him. There needs to be, I don't know, the likes of Sammy Guevara and Jungle Boy especially, they need to say some stuff that actually suspends your disbelief going into it. That needs to happen later on in the night. Perhaps in turning into a big brawl, getting split up right at the end of the show. So maybe you open the show with the promo packages, or do those throughout the show, and then at the end, the main event segment, you have them all in the ring together. Perhaps that's where you could do it. But you need to figure out a way. You have to do it perfectly, and it's really difficult in 2 hours of television to do it. It truly is. I feel for AEW. Well, I would feel for them if they hadn't spent the last 2 months building this and failing to actually build it to make anybody other than MJF feel believable. But Clark, what do you think about this match?
I mean, this is one that on paper is outstanding. It is. It's the 4 pillars. It's what we always wanted. But this is a story that's been told on paper and not on screen. I want to see this story told on screen. That's what I want. I want strength out of the other 3 pillars, because anyone can steal this match one fall to the finish in a fatal 4-way. And like you stated earlier, Allison, it only feels like MJF can win this one. And that shouldn't be the case, because he doesn't even have to be pinned to lose the title. And not one time have we brought that up on the other side. Not one of the other 3 pillars has brought that up. You don't have to lose. And this should be as big a threat he's had title defense wise since he's carried the belt. He doesn't have to be pinned or submitted to lose. And we're just banking on the fact that everyone knows about the 4 pillars. We've always talked about the 4 pillars, and look, we're finally giving it to you. But give it to me in a way where I actually believe Sammy might steal this. He might be even slimier than MJF and steal it. I actually believe that Jungle Boy, the ultimate underdog, and Darby, the other ultimate underdog, can steal this. I think it's one of those things where we need those three to step up. I don't know about MJF being calm on the mic necessarily, Ben, because it just goes against everything he represents. I think it comes down to maybe building the only true babyface, Darby, there, because Jungle Boy is a true babyface, but building Darby tonight as the ultimate threat in this match, because he can hit a coffin drop off the top after a sequence and steal it. He can steal it with the cover he uses, why am I blanking on the name of the roll up finish that he uses?
Mousetrap.
Yes. No, not mousetrap. Yeah, is it the mousetrap or is it the
Actually, that might be Orange Cassidy.
That's Cassidy.
I think that's Orange Cassidy's.
Yeah, no. What is the one that he
I'm the
uses?
worst. I've been awful commentator.
I'm
the
so good at
worst
the
with
names
name
too.
of,
I'm like, anybody in the comments that knows the name of that move, please let me know, because that might be one where, Darby locks that up and you have a stolen finish from MJF. I don't know. There's a lot of ways to book this match, but just get us there.
Yeah.
That's the key. And I feel like it's just been rushed. It's a little like Cody and Roman, like, finish the story. Well, you have to tell us the story. Like, yes, it's tantalizing on paper, but you've kept it on paper. It hasn't been on screen nearly enough.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you there, Clark. And yeah, I mean, the reason I say MJF should just calm down a little tonight, it's just because he's just too much better. He's just so much better than the other three. And I usually say, well, no, the other three have just got to become better. But for the sake of one night, I think he might just have to, just to help the others. They're in a bad situation. Yeah, I think it's too early for this. As much as you know me, I love young talent being pushed. I love it. But I think it's actually too early for these four guys to go at it in a pay-per-view main event. But David, what do you think about this heading into the show?
I think that they have dropped the ball massively, but I don't really know if necessarily there was a ball to drop, and I'll explain what I mean by that. Is that when this feud started, I was excited. I liked the idea of the four pillars. The problem is that you've never bought any of the other three as contenders, because when they've gone into this match, none of them have felt like a big enough deal before the feud started. Sammy has been flown in just a bunch of different stuff that no one's really cared about. Jungle Boy's only just got off the Christian Cage feud. Darby Allin has been doing great stuff, but hasn't been in those kind of top-level programs. So rather than it feeling like this sort of really great thing that can sort of bolster these three guys, what has ended up happening is it's MJF and three, kind of misfits. Now, I do think if you'd have put Darby against MJF one-on-one, I would have bought that Allin could beat him. I still wouldn't really, but I sort of could, because I think Allin has been the best of the best of the rest, as we say in the feud. But they've completely bungled Guevara by trying in the last few weeks to turn him face, which has been very confusing and hasn't worked. You said that the Jungle Boy thing against Roosh, I liked it as a match. I really like Jungle Boy and Roosh as a match. But I don't think like you said, it has kind of devalued him. And so now we're in a position where we're going into Double or Nothing, like you said, to the main event, four pillars, big, huge thing. This is 4 years worth of build. It's not really, but 4 years since the four pillar stuff. And we're just looking at, MJF, who's MJF going to pin? Because, I'm not being...
Oh, did the Wi-Fi cut out?
Oh, I think we got some Wi-Fi issues there.
So, by the way, I looked it up. The move is The Last Supper.
Oh,
until we get it, it's The Last Supper. I had to know. So badly.
That's going to be a quiz question right there.
Absolutely. But Drizzy, what do you think about this heading into the four pillar segment?
I do believe a story was told. The issue is too many stories were trying to be told at one time. And the way that it actually started should have been the way that we end tonight. We shouldn't have started with all four of them in the ring together. In fact, this should have started maybe months ago. And then I agree with you, Ben. I don't think this is way too early to be doing this. This is like only MJF's second or third defense, I think. And we could have pushed this down to next year's Double or Nothing. Like, I feel like he needs to have a lot of steam before we go into doing this fatal four way, because most of the time with fatal four, when you get to a situation where the champion in a fatal four way, they've beaten a bunch of people. So it's like, okay, you've beaten all these challenges. Now this is a real challenge right here, and I think it would also give more time to build up Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara, who needs the most building up out of all of them, because he's been a mid carder for so long now. Jungle Boy, they're trying to get him up there, and he's there almost. He's just about there. Darby, he was there. He stepped down for a bit. Now he's coming back up. But tonight is the way that we should be ending with all four of them in the ring. I'm hoping that it's better than the first time. We'll find out. MJF is light years better than all of them in promos, but tonight would be the night that everybody gets their get back on him, talking like how he made the daddy daycare comment. MJF had a daddy daycare too, if you want to call it that, with his best friend, the Cody Roaster.
Yeah, no, I mean that is certainly something that could be mentioned. I mean, I don't know. On paper, like Clark, like what you touched upon as well. On paper, there's a story which could be told very easily, and yeah, I also do agree, Dryzzy. They probably should have left it for next year when they developed a bit more. I think they very easily could have done that. But we got a few comments here. Firstly, from Bailey, who's saying Jungle Boy and Sammy Guevara aren't sold to me as main eventers, and I really like Jungle Boy, and I completely agree with you. And the worst part is, right, I mean, I think Sammy Guevara has been tainted slightly, but at least for Jungle Boy, I really do think he could be a main event star. I think he could be the 2000s version of Rey Mysterio. For AEW, if you like, somebody who's like the real underdog. I feel like he could be that for AEW. I do, because he's very easily likable. But I just don't think it's going that way. And we've also got Shania in the comments saying, hey, Dre, to Drizzy there. But let's now move on to the next segment, and let's talk Orange Cassidy versus Kyle Fletcher. My question about this is just, is this really worth the time on a go-home show? And why should fans really care about it? And are really the people who watch Dynamite even aware about who Kyle Fletcher is? I mean, I think most of them know who Aussie Open are, because they've been on Dynamite before. But Kyle Fletcher specifically, I don't know. And I love Kyle Fletcher. I do. I like both of these guys. But on a go-home show, it's not really building towards the pay-per-view in any way. I don't know. What do you think about it, David?
I think they should have been on the Double or Nothing card, to be honest, rather than the Blackjack Battle Royale. Now, I love the idea for the Blackjack Battle Royale, I should say. I like the idea of that. I think that the idea of Cassidy being the workhorse of the company, despite being notoriously the lazy wrestler, going against 20 other guys, is a really fun gimmick. But I think that given time, Orange Cassidy and Kyle Fletcher could put on magic, because Kyle Fletcher's great. Also, there is that element of doubt because Mark Davis has unfortunately got injured, so Aussie Open have had to vacate their IWGP and New Japan Strong tag titles. So there would be a little bit of a thing of giving Fletcher another a title, maybe a run in AEW as a solo guy. The problem is that because we know that match is happening on Sunday, we know the Battle Royal is happening, Kyle Fletcher does not have a cat in hell's chance of winning this. And so it does take a great deal of the sting out of the match, despite the fact that I think it'll be a great match because these are two great wrestlers. And I think it will be given a little bit of time. We'll have a fun match building into the Battle Royale on Sunday. I just don't think it's enough really it'll be a great match, but it's just a very, very weirdly placed match because, like I said, Kyle Fletcher has no chance.
Yeah, no, I mean, bang on there, bang on. And like you said, I think it will be a really good match from an in-ring standpoint. I don't know. Like, the thing is, when you're doing weekly challenges, obviously you can't build up the match each time. That's understandable. But if it was on a Double or Nothing card, I would have liked there to be a story behind it. And I mean, I don't know how long Mark Davis is going to be out for, but if it's a while and Kyle Fletcher is going to be a regular on, AWTV, which I wouldn't mind, just do some promo packages for a few weeks, hyping him up, explaining who he really is. We know he's one half of Aussie Open, who actually is Carl Fletcher. And then you can make fans care about it. But yeah, I mean, this on this show, I'm not too bothered about. But hopefully, it'll be a good match. And I'm going to be honest, I'd be shocked if it wasn't a solid match at the very least. But now
I'll take any Cassidy I can get.
Fair enough. But now let's talk about another match, which I think is going to be solid, and that is Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta versus the Lucha Bros for the ROH Tag Team titles. Now, this match, of course, was built up because they did Claudio versus Ray Phoenix a few weeks ago, and Claudio got the victory. And I thought that was a perfect opportunity to have this match on ROH TV. So, you hyped it up or whatever with the teaser for it, the singles match on AEW TV. And then the ROH TV, you do the big match. And while I wouldn't like them doing that too much, because obviously then it dilutes AEW TV, for, if you're really lacking viewers and you're trying to figure out a way to get viewers to Ring of Honor, then yeah, okay, I wouldn't have minded that too much. But for some reason, it's on AEW TV for the ROH Tag Team titles. Instead, again, this is another one where I'm like, I would have preferred this to be next week after the pay-per-view, because I'm sure it'll be a great match. But you have 2 hours here to build up to this pay-per-view, a pay-per-view which there's some doubts about how much is going to, how well it's going to sell. It's not sold out yet. There's concerns. I say concerns over ticket sales. Again, like we spoke about this on podcast a couple of weeks ago. I think they'll be fine because of Vegas late ticket sales. I think they'll be fine. But there's concerns about the build for the pay-per-views. You've got 2 hours to sort it out, and you're giving time to a Ring of Honor tag match, which has got nothing to do with AEW Double or Nothing at all. Now, of course, the big story coming out of last week's show was the Elite reunited. Hangman is back with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. And despite the fact that was the big finish to the show last week and was brilliant, was cinema, there's no segment announced for them this week. It's like that should be the big storyline going into this show along with the 4 pillars. But nope, there's been nothing announced. I presume after this match they'll get involved somehow, but I think this match shouldn't be there, and instead they should have done something, proper follow-up segment to what happened last week. But Dryzzy, what did you think of yesterday? Not yesterday's show. I'm too used to doing review shows right now. What do you think about Claudio and Wheeler Yuta versus the Lucha Brothers tonight?
I think it'll be a good match. I think it's just more so a reason to have the Blackpool Combat Club show up on your screens. But for we don't need to do this to have them pop up. All last week, basically all they did was pop up and attack people out of nowhere. Why don't we just continue that thread? There's no need in have. I'm not going to complain about the match though, because it is going to be a very good match. Yes, it should happen next week after this was a state. I want to call it Stadium Stampede so bad.
Anarchy in the Arena.
Yeah, that, because Stadium Stampede is when there's no fan. But yeah, we don't have to do this match just yet. It's gonna be a good one. I'm gonna sit there and on the edge of my seat watching, because when the Lucha Bros are in the ring, they're really good. Wheeler Yuta is really good, and Claudio is really good. So there's no issues there. I do expect to see the Elite pop up at the end of this match, if not during the middle of the match. AEW doesn't do a lot of DQ finishes, but this would be one time where I would expect it and I would welcome it. It's the one time I would expect it and welcome it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do agree with you there. I don't know. Like we both said, next week would have made a lot more sense for it. But now let's talk about the House of Black versus AR Fox and Blake Christian and Metalik. So, other than this match, quite similar to the last one, I guess, but the last one did have some build, obviously. Other than it being good wrestling, why is this match even happening? I mean, Blake Christian, Metalik, and AR Fox lost their shot for the ROH Trios titles recently. So why are they now getting a shot at the House of Black for the AEW ones? There's no story. It seems like a way to just get the House of Black on TV. And again, it's a go-home show. It's like, are they just? I cannot. I'm an AEW fan. I am. I cannot understand what they're doing with this show. It's getting me frustrated talking about it. They're not building. They're not selling the pay-per-view. They're throwing random matches on the card. What, for good wrestling? Like, you need to have a story. You need to have a story. Good wrestling doesn't sell. What sells is story. And then if there's a good story with great wrestling, well, then that sells a lot better than, a good story with bad wrestling, of course. But still, story first, wrestling, then very close behind it second. Again, this match, I wouldn't even have that much of an issue with it if it happened next week. But this week on the Go Home show, I am not a fan at all. I mean, is there any believability at all? AR Fox, Blake Christian, and Grand Metalik can even win this? I don't know, but Clark, give me something. What do you think?
So I love you to death, Ben. And I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, but I was really ready to talk about Claudio Wheeler and the Lucha Brothers.
I'm so sorry. I missed the order.
I know, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. I'm a pro. We're ready to go on this one. I'm a huge AR Fox fan. I think he's underrated. Freak athletic talent. Off the charts. Overlooked and underrated every single time I see him. AR Fox is an absolute stud. Blake Christian, I like, talented, and Metalik. I mean, Brian, if Bryan Danielson swears by you, you're probably pretty good, right? And Danielson's gone out of his way to swear by Metalik for a long time now. Since the pandemic, he did it on SmackDown before they were even in the same company again, in front of no crowd.
I watched him for years. He's fantastic.
Yes, he's outstanding. He walks the ropes like a madman. We've been talking about Commander's rope spots. Nobody does the tightrope missile dropkick spot like Metalik does, and does not get enough credit. Believability, I'm with you on that. Storytelling, I'm with you on that. Another ROH match, I'm with you on that. Basically, if you look at, I mean, AR Fox has been in ROH. Metalik is kind of an ROH guy, you'd think at this point. It's where he fits the best.
Yeah, that's where they all are.
And Blake Christian too. House of Black hasn't been full ROH, have they?
Or the House of Black isn't ROH at all. They're purely AEW.
That's what I mean. And so the most interesting part to me is of the House of Black, and I'm a huge Malachi, Aleister Black, whatever you'd like to call him, Tommy End, fan. I think he's unbelievably talented. Brody King's been the standout since they've been on television. And as a trio, it feels like Malachi and then the standout Brody King. Buddy Matthews looks good in the ring every time, but we don't tell anything about him. He's just the third man. And I think that's unfair because his Build-A-Bell works so good. There's plug-and-play options to create rivalries using him in singles actions with them carrying the trios titles. And same thing with King. I love Malachi Black as the leader. I really enjoy what they did with Julia Hart. But there's got to be some cohesion, some more than just projection bugs in matches on the like the dark lights and the weird there's got to be more, and this for lack of a better way to put it isn't it.
No, it isn't. I mean, House of Black, like you said, like you touched upon, every single wrestler in this match is great. They're fantastic. On paper, this is I wouldn't say a dream match, but a great
match.
But on a go-home show, when there's no story and the challengers just lost for the ROH Trios titles,
it's a throwaway.
Why are they doing a throwaway when they need the
I do not understand this. Because they're so talented. I don't want to disrespect the performers, but it's a throwaway.
Oh, yeah. Not, just to be clear, when I'm talking about this entire card here today, there's been a lot of criticisms I've given. The most annoying thing about it, and to be fair, I think we have made this clear throughout, the most annoying thing about it is everybody involved, all the wrestlers we're talking about, are crazy, crazy talented. Top guys. Like, it's
a little bit like, how do you mess this up?
Yeah. I mean, TK, I think he's given himself too much to do. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. No, the guy's a superhuman. He is. I honestly, I don't understand how he does all the amount he does, but I think maybe he needs to, maybe maybe both in his wrestling booking and in life, just slow down slightly and let
Delegate.
things breathe and let himself breathe as well. And yeah, they delegate.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, hopefully, I'm certain this match will deliver, just like I'm certain the other two matches which we mentioned and said why are they on the card. I think they'll all deliver too. But again, why are they on the card? But talking about why things are on the card, let's talk about the next match, which is Taya Valkyrie versus Lady Frost. Now, firstly, I'm glad that they're doing a women's match on Dynamite, which isn't built around the Outcasts versus the Originals. It's been a while since they've not a while. I think they did one a couple of weeks ago, but apart from that, it's been a while since they've done a match on Dynamite which hasn't included some of the Outcasts and the Originals. That's usually takes up that one women's segment every week. So I'm glad Taya Valkyrie's getting a chance to show herself. But why is it happening? Why is this match happening? Taya Valkyrie, of course, has that title chance, the TBS Championship opportunity against Jade Cargill at Double or Nothing. Taya hasn't wrestled since she lost for the championship last time. So, I mean, why is that match happening, perhaps? But no, they have been building to it a bit on Rampage. But here's the thing, right? Do AEW fans even know who Lady Frost is? And if you don't, Lady Frost is great. She absolutely is. She had a great run in Impact. I think she's done some stuff in ROH, and I know she's doing AEW Dark as well. But again, this is your go-home show, and you're doing. Why are you having somebody, randomly involved like that? I don't really know. My guess is that Taya's going to squash Lady Frost and, to make her seem really, powerful and like a real challenge to Jade on Saturday. Not Saturday, Sunday. And I mean, okay, fair enough. You're making her look strong. I have no problem with that. But it's like, I mean, surely there's a better way to tell that story. Wow. This match, it's just, I don't know. But David, I almost messed up the order again. You can tell it's boiling hot in my room here. And being in the UK, I'm not used to the heat. But David, I presume it's also hot where you are because you're also in London. What do you think about this match?
First of all, yes, absolutely boiling here. But in terms of this match, like you said, I think there is a reason for it happening, and I think that reason is to put Taya Valkyrie over before the match with Cargill. Like I said, the problem we have is that Lady Frost lost both of her ROH matches in the last few months, so that was the kind of the AEW affiliate, ROH, but you know what I mean, the Tony Khan affiliated stuff that's all kind of in the same bubble. So she's lost, so she's not credible to beat Taya Valkyrie, nor really should be. She should be. I think this will be a very, very short match. I think Lady Frost will be given a little bit to do. Should be a nice showcase for it, and then Valkyrie will promptly beat her. Jade Cargill. I haven't had an opportunity to talk about Jade Cargill on these podcasts yet. I am so bored. I liked her for a bit, and now I'm just praying that anybody takes this off her because nobody cares anymore. And that's from YouTube comments. That's from I haven't seen a single person who's really been invested in these Jade Cargill TBS title defenses. On Rampage last week, they had to squash 3 people in a row or 3 people in a row to try and get it up so they could do the 50-0 thing to give it a reason for existing at Double or Nothing. I think this will be a short match to put Valkyrie over. My major complaint with this is that this is the only women's segment that's been advertised for the show. I think, on balance, for everything else to be male dominated. Granted, like you said, it's not the Outcasts. We do have a Jamie Hayter versus Tony Storm match to build, which I feel like would have been a better use of time than the House of Black Trios match or probably the ROH tag.
Yeah.
But
I'm sorry, but also on Cassidy versus Carl Fletcher. I know they're your boys, but
but yes, I agree. But that, but that'll be another backstage interview probably to build that match. It's just can we please, as major companies, just book the women's feuds better, please God. Like WWE and AEW are failing at this badly. NXT and Impact and Stardom seem to be the only 3 places that have a grasp on how to do it. And it's just, this is going to be nothing. I like Taya. Please beat Cargill just to get that belt off her.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you there. I mean, to be fair to WWE, on Raw they do it well. I think Raw's actually currently averaging the highest out of all the major wrestling shows. And obviously it's an hour long, but I mean per hour it's averaging the most right now.
Yeah.
In fairness to Raw,
I mean,
but
we are building Rhea Ripley versus Natalia
yeah,
right now, which is I'm
they've not built it too.
Build is a strong word.
Yeah, they've not built that one. I will 100%
When's
agree
the
with you.
last time Natalia beat anyone?
That's also a great point. But yeah, I mean, in fairness, I'm gonna be honest here. I do like Jade. I think she's a star, but I also do agree that the booking hasn't been strong for her. It hasn't because her booking's been great. The fact is, the booking of everyone around her is just nobody's really looked believable. The Taya seemed believable at the start, but I mean, I think she was the first person who seemed. Ty's been the first. Taya and Athena. Athena, when she came in, seemed believable too, as well. But
Then
Athena,
Cargill beat Athena very quickly, and
yeah,
that was that.
which was awful too. Yeah, like, I'm not a fan of it. But it's again, Jade Cargill is a star, and she's worked so hard to improve too. And also, I've spoken to her a few times, and she is lovely as well. I think she has a lot of potential, but
I think she'll be more interesting without the belt. Now, I feel like I feel like we've lost the people have turned on Cargill because she's held this division hostage. If you get the belt off her and just do something a bit different with it, you can still have her go on a massive winning streak after you don't have to have her lose every week now. But just I think Taya might be the person to take it off her just because of how bored people are now. It should be a waste. But I always said the person to take it off her was Willow Nightingale, but she's just captured the New Japan women's. I feel like a lot of focus has gone over there, so maybe they might not go with it now. But just anybody now. I don't hate Cargill, I'm just bored.
They're waiting on somebody. You know who they're waiting on? Chris
Who?
Statlander.
There
you're
you go.
probably right, Drizzy. You probably are right.
Spot on, Drizzy.
If they built that, I would not mind it at all. But yeah, Jade
Not at all.
Cargill, I like her. I do like her. But we're just going to have to wait and see. But let's now talk about Chris Jericho and Adam Cole's contract signing for tonight. And out of everything on Dynamite that I've had a problem with, which I'm not being funny, it has been this entire show, this is the one thing I am not worried about at all. I have no concern about this. My only concern is kind of why they're doing a contract signing for an unsanctioned match, but I believe it's like a waiver type thing and I think David said to me before the show that on the controller center they did say that. So that does make a bit more sense. But at first I was like, what? My only other question is why isn't it called Lights Out? Why were they at first calling these unsanctioned matches Lights Out? Like the unsanctioned and Lights Out's the exact same thing. So why have they changed that? Why have they got rid of the Lights Out name? I don't know. I didn't mind it personally, but whatever. This actual segment, I'm sure, is going to be great, and they'll hype it up well. Jericho will hype it up well. Cole will hype it up well. I'm not worried about this segment at all. This is a proper go home segment, and I'm excited for it. But Drizzy, what do you think about the segment heading into it?
It's going to be very sports entertaining. It is going to this. First off, it's hilarious that they're doing a contract signing for an unsanctioned match. Chris Jericho wrote this. He had to. It's hilarious. It's a great way to be funny and serious at the same time. I have a hard time taking Adam Cole as a face in this situation, but he's been doing good so far. It's going to be very entertaining. I'm expecting all types of goofy shenanigans from the JAS. I'm pretty sure they're going to be out there along with Roderick Strong. I'm hoping that this is going to do something to kind of, because it's unsanctioned. There's no rules. You're going to see the JAS in that match. So I'm hoping they're going to like kind of build it that Adam Cole has help too. Whether it's the Kingdom, whether it's Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. I almost said Kyle Fletcher. It's just going to be I think it's the only match on here that actually will have some type of cohesion with the actual pay-per-view. I'm shocked about that, actually. Because looking at this card, there is no type of cohesion with anything that's happening.
The four pillars talking is the only other thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
I
100%.
It is. But Clark, what do you think?
I am so stoked about this. And in a roundabout way, I actually think this contract signing makes more sense than most of them do. We see matches booked all the time, and they don't have to sign a contract. But if you're going to have to step into an unsanctioned match, you guys aren't insured for this one, right? Like maybe medical attention isn't quite the same, all of that, and lean into the violence that is going to come with an unsanctioned match. I'm all over it. And to add to that, would there be a better time for Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly to return than somehow tonight during this segment to even the odds? Are you kidding me? Against the JAS and have that stare down? And we're talking about Anarchy in the Arena? How about a 4-way Anarchy in the Arena? How about that? What if we do that? I don't know. It's possible. But would there be a better time than tonight to even those odds? I don't think so.
I'd say there would be, and I'd say it's at the pay-per-view on Sunday. Adam
That
Cole's
too.
Backed by all of them, and then they can come and make the save.
There's an argument to be made there. I'm with you. But as far as turning this into a go-home show, Ben, that's the point I'm making.
True.
Because coming out of that, if you bring those two back tonight, all of a sudden you go, wait a minute, Cole's not going to get ganged up on. He's got his guys too. And it makes this match even bigger. I hear where you're coming from on the moment during the match in Vegas, right? If you do the return there, that pop is probably bigger. But to really actually give this a shot at being viewed as a solid go-home show, I think it's not the only option, but the best available.
Yeah.
And that's going to take some convincing without question.
Why not meet it in the middle? Cal tonight, Bobby on Sunday.
Bobby on Sunday, Dryzzy.
Oh, okay.
Dryzzy!
I like that.
Now we're talking.
I like that a lot. No, I
love
do.
that.
I do. That's a great.
Put us in the writing room.
Yes, do it.
Give
Do it,
us
TK.
the pencil. Let's go.
TK, we can take the pressure off you. Bring us in and.
I mean, it really shouldn't feel like rocket science, should it? You have a pay-per-view with matches. Make those matches. So make you or make me as a viewer want to depart with my money to go and watch those matches. Don't give me matches that have nothing to do with the pay-per-view on Sunday and go, here, see, good wrestling. Do that next week. Because the week after Double or Nothing is the chance to, then you're watching, to see where things go next. So that's where you can put your, that's where you can put, and if
you do need filler matches the week after, so that's perfect.
Yeah. Just give us a reason to care. It really shouldn't be that hard.
It's not. It's not. Like we said at the start of the show, what's the point of a go-home show to sell pay-per-views? And this, I don't know. On paper, it doesn't look like it will. The actual really weird thing about this is that Jericho versus Cole, which is the one which is a big segment tonight, I actually think it's probably been the best built match on the card. So I do think out of all of them,
Anarchy in the Arena. Anarchy in the Arena.
Okay, that too. That's true.
Second best built match on the card.
But I mean, there's a segment which he did, segments more than this. I'm not complaining about them giving the segment to Jericho and Cole because they'll make it even more important. So I'm not complaining about it. But it's just quite funny that that's the match which they gave it to there. So I'm sure that'll be great. I really hope whatever they do with the four pillars, they do it well because that is what's going to be the difference. That is the championship match. That's going to be what the difference is between, them selling pay-per-views and not selling pay-per-views. I also hope they make a huge deal at the beginning of tonight about what happened with the Elite last week because that should be a big advertisement point coming into this show because that was, like I said, it was cinema last week how they did that. It was brilliant, and I hope we see more of that tonight. But tonight they do need to sell pay-per-views. But thank you guys for watching this show. It's been an absolute honor to be doing this show with you guys, Clark, David, and Dryzzy, and it's been fantastic to have you guys all watching at home. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're over on Spotify, please give 5 stars and a follow. And yes, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Well, I won't see you tomorrow, but Clark and Anthony and Chaos will be doing Throwback Thursday. at 11 p.m. UK time, 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. And Clark, Anthony, and Chaos will kill it. As always, I am certain. So thank you guys for watching. And let's just hope it's a little bit cooler in the UK tomorrow. Thank you guys.